bring a strong foundation for AI-driven transformation. So Mukesh, can we jump in the session now?
Yes, please.
Okay, great. Awesome. So over the next 30 to 40 minutes, I'd like to take you through the SAP LeanIX, which is one of the most strategic assets in SAP's portfolio today, and show you how it is helping CIOs and the enterprise architects at some of the world's most admired companies cut through IT complexity, accelerate transformation, and govern AI adoption with confidence. India stands at a unique inflection point of transformations leading the world today. So my goal today is not to just give you a product overview, but I want to leave you with a clear picture of how this tool directly addresses your priorities, whether it is ERP transformation, cost rationalization, risk management, or AI governance. I want you to use LeanIX on a day-to-day basis, not just from enterprise architects, but also from all the stakeholders in your teams. So with that goal in mind, we'll move to the session. Now, let me start with a question that I hear from nearly every CIO I meet. We know our IT landscape is complex, but how complex and what is the complexity actually costing us? The answer to this question is not a direct one, but this slide captures that problem beautifully with what I call the IT complexity iceberg.
Now, we are still seeing the main slide.
The first slide only, yeah.
Okay, just give me a second. Is it better now?
Yes.
We are on IT complexity slide 3.
Okay, just give me, let me reshare. Sorry about this. Yes, is that better?
Yes. Yep.
Okay, great.
That too.
Just a second. Thanks for calling it out. So yes, so on the left, as you see, it's the IT complexity iceberg. Now, above this waterline, you can see the visible complexity, the applications your team talk about, the major systems of record. But beneath the surface lies far more. Interfaces multiplying testing effort and cost, unclear data ownership, creating compliance risk, and vulnerable aging software packages exposing you to security threats. For large Indian enterprises, whether you are a diversified conglomerate, a bank, a manufacturing leader, or a technology company, this iceberg is very real. Many of you manage hundreds of applications built up over decades of organic growth, acquisitions, and digital initiatives. So the cost of this is not just financial. It is the agility you lose when a simple business change requires months of efforts because nobody truly understands the dependencies. It is the risk you carry when your board asks about your exposure to a newly discovered vulnerability and your team needs weeks to answer. This is the problem LeanIX was built to solve. Sorry, I'm getting some feedback.
Kishore.
Sorry, was there a question?
No, please go on.
Oh,
I'm trying
great.
to mute everyone. Yeah.
Okay, great. So with that, I'll move into the next slide. Now over here, you can see 100 of global IT systems and 2,000 local IT systems, all connected across the globe. You see that it is lacking IT transparency and making transformation hard for CIOs. It's missing contribution of IT to business outcomes, slow change rate by IT, and silos thinking in IT prohibits the entire picture. Now with this, I wanted to lead with a very main problem, whereas how can you represent your applications on the LeanIX, right? And I also wanted to give you some reference examples from across the world. Adidas, DHL, Bosch, Lufthansa, Otis, Migros, and McKesson all are leading with this transformation using LeanIX as the go-to tool to represent their application landscape. we will go deep dive into the use cases that LeanIX has in the future slides. Now, here is a very important question. I'm sure most of you have enterprise architects in your spaces, especially if you are on RISE contract, right? So I wanted to bring about a very important problem here where, we are moving through a change in the transformation space. From traditional EAs, where EAs were looked mainly for reporting, documentation, rationalization, standards, and governance, it's moved to collaborative EA in between, where EAs were looked at to work with CTOs, IT product managers, IT project managers, driving the digital transformation, merger and acquisition harmonization, risk management. But now, in today's world, on the right, we are leading with application intelligence and something called as predictive EAs. The EAs are working as an autonomous system wherein they are also taking the intelligence from various tools and AI, but also driving and helping the entire organization from bottom to top, which means you as a project manager, IT developer, whether you're working in IT operations, are actually interacting with the EAs who are helping and supporting the strategy discussions at your organizations. So what we are calling it as an application intelligence predictive EA. With that, I'll move to the SAP LeanIX use cases. One of the CIO goals in the organization is to drive the landscape with transparency. Now the question comes on how you could do it with LeanIX. One of the main use case that we use at LeanIX is application portfolio assessment, where we not only look at all the applications, IT components, and data in your IT architecture, but also suggest you long-term roadmaps for where the application is going to go. Now, one of the main outcome for the CIO is to drive this with efficiency. So we have the application rationalization use case to drive it with efficiency. To bring the resilience forward, we have the obsolescence risk management. We also try to drive the transformation with application modernization, helping you with the ERP transformation. And most recently, we are also using AI, right? So we are doing the AI governance as well, which means primarily using AI to bring your applications data into the LeanIX board, reducing manual effort from somebody have to do this manually at the LeanIX. There are 3 products that help us do so on LeanIX, which is application portfolio management, technology risk and compliance, and LeanIX architecture and roadmap planning. The main user roles that can use LeanIX driving this transformation is definitely the CIO, but also the enterprise architects, solution architects, application owner, IT security, and transformation manager. With that, I would want to bring a very interesting concept, which is called as the architect elevator. So now the architect elevator is nothing but which is helping what is running on the ground in the engine room and what is driving the strategy at the top, helping CIOs in the penthouse to drive the strategy in an organization. What this essentially means is, and also it brings forward a very important problem is, what is happening in the engine room, what decisions are being made, what work is being done, is often lost in the elevator floors when it drives to the penthouse, which is the CIO's office, and the strategy that they have to take are often lost in translation, right? So the enterprise architects are somewhere in between, helping what is happening in the IT teams on the ground to take the strategy and contribute to the strategy at the top. And how the enterprise architects are doing so is by using the LeanIX, by helping the organization build business capabilities reflected to the LeanIX workspace, transforming the application architecture, suggesting you with the roadmap, what is it that your current applications need to change, what future applications need to drive this. All of that is reflected on this LeanIX workspace with a couple of use cases that Rene will take you in the next slides. Now, how AI capabilities are supporting this. We are all talking about AI these days, but how you can actually make use of the technology, whether it is AI features, whether it is API integrations, or whether it is using Claude, etc., and how you can use that to bring forward your application and landscape on your LeanIX board. So AI helps you to maintain your current inventory. Inventory is nothing but what is, something called meta model. I will introduce it later. So how you can keep your inventory up to date. Consider it as, the normal inventory definition that is there. It consists of your current resources, right? Similarly, your applications and data gets reflected in terms of meta model on the LeanIX inventory, which we will look into later. Using AI to provide insights on your architecture, how mature it is your application today. 5 years from now, using the roadmap builder, what is the future state of the application? All those insights are also possible using AI. And AI can identify patterns and suggest you the future. It can also give you some potential recommendations on your current architecture. How mature are you? Using the Gartner principles and data across the globe, it also suggests you where you are standing in your current architecture vis-a-vis the competition and the industry. There can be some creation and tracking of large-scale business and IT transformations, and it will be a guided transformation suggested by AI. So with that, we come to the meta model. All the introduction is great, but how it actually reflects onto your LeanIX board, right? The how part of it. So how it can be done is something that we call meta model. And the meta model is nothing but we distribute your your architecture into a group of 12 fact sheets. Now, what you see here, down to bottom, down to top, is the fact sheets category. Starting with the bottom, technical architecture. The technical architecture comprises of 3 fact sheets categories called provider, IT component, and tech category, which essentially contribute to building technology lifecycle roadmaps. The second one is application and data architecture, where it is contributing again of 3 fact sheet types: data object, application, and interface. It helps you to build a data strategy in your organization, but also to represent it in terms of data flows. Business architecture, comprising of 3 fact sheet category types: organization, business capability, business context, which further contributes to laying down business capability report, business strategy reports for your organization, which maps it to the top flow, which is nothing but strategy and transformation, primarily used by the CIOs and a favorite of the business stakeholders who like to see what are the initiatives, what are the strategy, and what is actually mapping this to my organization's long-term growth. So the fact sheet type of objective, platform, and initiative contribute to this, and they help us map the goals and roadmap for your organization. So this is nothing but what I earlier termed to as inventory. Your inventory is comprised of these fact sheets, which your enterprise architect will help you fill it. Now with that, we move to integration, but also I would like to hand it over to Rene, who will leading from here forth and also giving you a deep dive on the use cases. So Rene, over to you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Minal. And also warm welcome from my side. René de Daniel is my name. I'm enterprise architect at SAP LeanIX. So I'm also in charge of product enablement to explain how enterprise architects can actually ease their life by using LeanIX in daily activities. So we just heard about the meta model, which is let's say the core of LeanIX, where you have then also the different relationships between the so-called fact sheets, which you see now here again in the middle of the slide. And one of the, let's say, secret sauce of LeanIX and the success is that we follow the principle of buy and not build, meaning that from that enterprise architecture point of view, we are trying to leverage as much as possible data which is already out there in your organization and integrate this information in context of enterprise architecture. You see here now our offering where we can integrate. That starts with conference pages or Jira, but it could also be going in the direction of processes with Signavio, data with Colibra. We have ServiceNow also as an integration, but also many others. So similar to what you have seen on the elevator, and depending on what kind of information you are looking for your use case, you can leverage information of the organization in order to have, let's say, a solid base of data in order to derive some insights and then also some next actions or even architecture decisions. So with this, let us have now a closer look into the different use cases, because it very much depends on which context you would like to look from an enterprise architecture perspective. Again, that reaches across the different layers of the elevator, which we have seen. So it could somewhere start from the strategy, but also going down into the ancient room with technology. The first thing, and this is normally our core piece where we recommend enterprise architects to start with, is actually the application portfolio assessment, so that you first get a good understanding of what are the applications out there in your organization. If you can, please stay on that slide. So here we enable also with the help of automations to first identify your landscape. That can be the SAP landscape where we have integrations with Cloud ALM, for example, but it could also be other software as a service providers from where we ingest the information around the applications. And then in the next step, once we have a good baseline, we can do then some in-depth evaluation. So here in this example, you see an overview of a rating where we have the applications in the middle in numbers, the bubbles. And we rate it in terms of what is the technical fit and what is also the functional fit of each of this application. This is something you would not necessarily do on your own as an enterprise architect. You can send out surveys to your stakeholders as soon as you understand this is the owner of the organization, that person of that application, that person in the organization should then also be able to provide that insight if the application is kind of fit for purpose from a functional point of view, and technology-wise, we can also derive it through information maybe coming through a CMDB, for example, where we see lifecycle information. So with this view, you can already then derive your first actions, that you would maybe in that example here look into the applications which are unreasonable from a functional fit and maybe inappropriate from a technical fit, to then take next steps and see, okay, how could that application be replaced by one which is maybe more future-proof. We can take that step one further, so that we also look more from a rationalization perspective, which is now outlined here. Now more coming from the business side of the house, where we see which organization is using which application and also which business capability is supported. I brought here some numbers from a customer which we engage with in order to see the potential of savings here. And the idea of that metrics report, for example, in context of application rationalization, is that we look in each and every application and we apply a so-called time classification. That's a classification coming from Gartner, where we identify if an application is subject to elimination. Is it the tolerate, so that we say, okay, we will take that forward? Is it invest, so where we actively want to invest, or is it the migrate option, where we say, okay, this one will disappear over time because we have a larger transformation running? We can also, that's not shown here in that example, but we have also the possibility to track TCO data. So meaning we can also bring in a perspective around the cost that we see, okay, if we're now eliminating or migrating a certain number of applications, we can actually reduce the total cost of ownership of our application portfolio to a certain extent over time. So we have also the possibility to model this as a roadmap that we see how our landscape would evolve and where we actually put our, let's say, effort in, where are the areas of investment, that even when new projects are coming up, that we already redirect them to the right application to be used. Now, if we go a little bit deeper, we have, of course, interfaces. I think kind of the applications are here what we normally immediately see, tip of the iceberg, but then we have to go to the next level and understand, okay, if we're now touching a certain application which will be migrated over or eliminated, what are the interfaces which we are actually currently running? So also here, if you could maybe go back to the interface slide, we have here the possibility to auto-discover also interfaces in order to ease the life of enterprise architects, not to model everything from scratch. And we can then outline how does it look like today, but also we can project it into the future. Let's assume you have a larger transformation running. You first of all want to understand which interfaces do we have in our landscape, what will be replaced, what will still remain, is the middleware still valid or not, and how would that look like in the future, that we are also sure from a testing perspective, which we can then also inform our integration and implementation colleagues that we ensure end-to-end testing as well. Then we can go one level deeper. I mean, interfaces are normally bringing data from left to right or however you name it. So we have also the data view. So here it's important that we also see how data is flowing throughout the organization. LeanIX is not a tool where you start to model now on the level of tables and attributes. This is really from an enterprise architecture point of view, where we rather look from a business object perspective to understand where are the critical pieces, because of certain regulation like GDPR, where do we have maybe some orphan objects, and also how are they linked in with the interfaces? Where is the let's say the master of that data and how is it getting distributed? And you could even do some impact assessments. I've done that with an S4 transformation when we needed to understand, okay, if material number length is changing, which other surrounding systems do we have to care about if we now bring in higher version of the SAP system, the central one. Moving forward, we have also the possibility to look more from a technology point of view. So that's a very common use case, I would say, that we first of all understand the technical depth, but also if we have, for example, technology which is kind of moving end of life, or even from a security point of view. I mean, we hear it almost on a monthly basis that here and there we have issues with certain libraries or specific technical features, so that we can also do kind of a bottom-up assessment. Where is it exactly used? What is the impact and how do we best go about it? Again, here we have possibilities to auto-discover what is in use. So we can connect, for example, to GitHub repositories, or we have an SBOM integration where we understand what kind of libraries are actually used in your own development, in order then to derive these insights to understand from a risk perspective, where do we need to take some action, and what or how should we then replace potential technology, which is then also leading to the topic we want to ensure that we're not even getting in that direction, and this is the topic around technology standards management. So meaning with the help of LeanIX and an enterprise architecture practice, and we see that on the next slide, we can also communicate to the broader organization what kind of standards we want to use. Yes, please.
Yeah. I was wondering if you could just maybe take a short break and open up for the question answers. There's a couple of them which I put, and then there's also some coming up. So there's one which has been mentioned. I mentioned here is when we had LeanIX, which showed that it can integrate with SAC, SAP Analytics Cloud. So is there any plans of also providing some out-of-the-box reports which can give these LeanIX insights? Is there something available?
Yes. So I think we haven't deep dive into the topic of the reports. There's quite a long list, let's say, of standard reports available. So you could imagine you have seen the meta model, and we have relations in there. And then depending on the relations, we could show different combinations. We have also diagrams, and we also released recently a feature based on the MCP server that you can also build your own custom report if something is missing. That's very powerful, I have to say.
All right. So what I hear is there are reports which are built in LeanIX which can be leveraged and can be used. Okay, thank you.
Yes.
The next one was more on the data slide which was there. So will LeanIX be able to show data products which are from SAP, non-SAP, or maybe from an enterprise data catalog? If a customer has already set that up, can it pull from there and show them?
Yes. So this is the next, let's say, topic from a data architecture roadmap perspective. So we are currently working on this, that we bring in also data products. And similar, like you know it, I haven't alluded to this, but we have a lot of reference content, be it capability or IT components. We will also have that for data products, so that you can leverage what you would normally see in Business Data Cloud. You can also leverage this within LeanIX and then import the specific data products you are interested in. That's on the roadmap, yes.
Okay, thank you. There are two more questions. Gary is asking how LeanIX will help after S/4HANA migration.
So there are different scenarios. So if you say migration, I would now assume that you maybe move from an SAP ECC system over to S4, yeah, and maybe in a system conversion. Then you have possibilities, for example, to look closer also from a clean core perspective, yeah, to understand how well are we aligned with maybe clean core principles. Do we have also extensions? So we have recently released also a feature where you can ingest also extensions into LeanIX and model it there accordingly. So it could help the whole clean core context. Or you could also take it more from a continuous innovation perspective. Once you are on S4, the next question would maybe be, okay, now let's have a look into agents or assistants which are offered in the S4 context. So also with the help of reference content, we could then look from a capability point of view, which assistants are offered there, and do they bring us value in a given context, and let's then plan that in for the implementation.
Right, thank you. Is it okay to take two more questions?
Yes, I think we are good on time, right? Yeah, I think we are good.
Time. Okay, all right. So there's a question from Ganesh, and folks in the call, please do come off mute and can also ask. So Ganesh is asking how you measure, invest, tolerance, migrate, and eliminate of non-SAP application. Does LeanIX also find security gaps of all SAP and non-SAP application configurations?
Yes.
After LeanIX implementation, what decisions will I be able to make that I cannot make today? So there are many, yeah. But
yeah, let's take one by one.
Yeah, you can bring that up, Renee, and answer.
Yeah. So the time classification, this tolerate, invest, migrate, eliminate, is basically a calculation of the functional and the technical fit. So we have a matrix there, and then depending on how you rate it, we then derive the classification. So that's done via an automatic calculation. The second question was around, can we also bring in non-SAP? Yes, of course. I mean, you have to understand, SAP has acquired LeanIX now 3 years ago. So at that point in time, LeanIX was from the beginning an agnostic enterprise architecture management tool, and still is. Yeah. So if you see from our investment point of view, 70% of the budget for new features go in the direction of agnostic, 30% is SAP specific. So meaning with the integration of software as a service, SBOM, GitHub, and these things, we can also ingest non-SAP applications, even to the level where we see then what kind of libraries or packages are used, which would then also answer the security question. Yeah, that we can go deeper and see, okay, if we see a certain library use which is subject to a security issue, we could then run an impact assessment across the landscape and surface that. So it's very important that LeanIX, although it's wearing the title with SAP LeanIX, yeah, it's an agnostic enterprise architecture management tool, and we also see that now with the next big topic to come, with the governance of AI agents. Yeah, we are not stopping at the door of the SAP agents. It's really going across. You also see it with the possibilities we have to integrate an AWS, Microsoft, Google, in the future also Anthropic. So all the big players, we want to embrace all agents across the landscape. I think, is there one more question?
Yeah, there are two more, Renee.
Yeah.
Okay. And Viksha is asking, what capabilities does LeanIX include while integrated with AI? Yeah. Could you please demo some capabilities here? Would we have that opportunity here to do that, Renee?
I mean, I can do anytime a demo. I just have to look a little bit on the time. I'm open. Yeah, I can even I can show our EA assistant, which we have recently released. It lives in the workspace itself. Maybe we finalize the slides, and then if time permits,
Yeah,
we can do a
let's
quick
do
demo.
that.
Yeah.
Let's do that. But her question: what capabilities does LeanIX include while integrated with AI? Quickly, anything?
Yeah.
One line,
So
one sentence on it. Yeah.
we have kind of different levels of AI capabilities. So there's some built-in capabilities which are straight in your working environment, where you can, for example, do natural language search. You can augment or auto-generate text. You can generate architecture decision records. So these are our base features. You can also do some calculations or automations. And then the next level is more our architecture guidance. So it's like kind of an agent which runs in the background and scans on a nightly basis your workspace and then surfaces some insights, for example, from the time dimension, or if a number of applications are using or supporting the same capabilities, it might come up with an insight and say, look, there's potentially a case for consolidation. And you can then follow up on this insight. Then we have the EA assistant, which I hope I will demo in a moment. So this is actually an AI conversation in your workspace, which is aware of the entire work.
Renee, you're on mute.
Yeah, Renee, I think somehow you got on mute.
Yeah, I think I was now auto-muted. So we have the EA assistant, which I hopefully can demo in a moment, which is also aware of the entire information in the workspace, but also documents you can link and our help, yeah, if you need some best practices, for example.
Right, thank you. And the last question from Vipin Gandhi. Vipin, in case you want to come off mute, you can also ask that. You can do that.
So, Renee, you can probably, sort of do it later on if time isn't permitting right now. What I would want to understand is, in today's times when there are agents, working everywhere, is there a possibility that we automate the spade work that we need to do to, sort of get the LeanIX populated, get the fact sheets populated, get a transformation roadmap done, etc.?
Yes, I think that leads exactly into the next use case, if I'm not mistaken. No, it's one after. So can we park that for a moment?
Sure,
Oh, yeah,
sure.
this is the one. So let's jump in there, yeah. Because this is our AI governance use case. So this is a feature which we have released now half a year ago, and this addresses the topic of how can we now manage all the agents which are kind of, I'm saying now, popping up like mushrooms in our organizations everywhere. So it's currently everyone is kind of trying building agents, but no one has really the overview. And we as enterprise architects, we are in a unique position to say we have the possibility to govern the AI agents, and not only by keeping like a list of agents and knowing what do we have. That gets even further, yeah, because we would like to link it to, for example, to processes, to capabilities, but also underlying technologies. On which large language model is it running? What kind of data is it consuming or producing? So as enterprise architects, we are here in a unique position to bring that perspective in. And with the AI governance use case, we also enable the ingestion of agents from different providers, like I mentioned before, like Microsoft, Google, ServiceNow. We have now Databricks is on the roadmap, so that we first get a holistic overview, but then that we can also, for example, do a risk assessment, that we understand what kind of data is consumed, in which area of the organization are there specific regulatory requirements. For example, in Europe, we have this AI EU Act, which we have to follow, so to stay compliant and be audible. And we can then also bring in reference content to plan agents. So the full life cycle, now moving from applications to AI agents, that's something we can also bring. And on the roadmap, we have some more details around telemetry. Yeah, so we want to understand how often is that agent run, and what kind of value contribution would it have if it runs that many times. But we could even expand it to security information linking to Cloud ALM, And also we are looking into agent mining, so with Signavio. So we are kind of collaborating here with the other tools in the tool chain to get some further insights that we understand, okay, how exactly is the agent behaving? Yeah, so that's one of kind of the use cases we also offer here from an AI agent perspective. Hope that answers that question. Maybe we can just go back to the one use case we went over a little bit. So this one, I mean, we have seen that we can first understand what is all out there in our landscape, be it now applications, technology, the agents we just touched, processing capabilities. The next important thing is also, how does the future look like? And this is where the whole topic of road mapping and transformation planning is coming in. So we can also project the future without actually modeling everything. It's more like a protection that we see, okay, how would it look like? And we have then also the possibility to derive some dependencies, some issues. If we have a time slip in the transformation, what would it mean to our applications or even to contracts which we have in place or underlying technologies? So here we can do quite a lot to kind of simulate and predict how it would look like, even if certain circumstances are in front of us. But of course, the primary purpose is also to visualize how the future would look like in terms of such a roadmap, that we can also use this as a means of communication to our different stakeholders in the organization, that everyone is kind of looking into the same direction. And with this, we can also reduce, let's say, cost, which is normally caused because there is not the alignment in the organization. Good. So I'm just looking over here to my colleagues. I think we still have some time. Are there any further imminent questions we would like to get into?
I don't see any questions. So if anyone has a question and want to unmute and ask you a question, maybe now is a good time to do so. Otherwise, I think we should continue.
Yes. So maybe just close it then here, and then we go into the demo. So, I mean, if you are interested in more detailed information, really starting from how to set up the LeanIX workspace up until AI capabilities and governance, I can only recommend that book, which I've written with my colleague Marianne Dahmen. It will be released end of August. So we have it available in a printed format, but also as an ebook coming through the Rheinwerk Publishing, so the SAP Press publisher with whom we normally work together. So please have a look here. There's also currently 15% off. If you're interested, you can also scan here the QR code. Good. So having said that, let's have a quick look into a workspace. I will just share here also my screen. So you should see here. So let me just open up my demo workspace. That's actually the one which is coming here from the book project. So in the project itself, we in the book project, we are not only providing here the, let's say, the theoretical content, you have also access to this, exactly this demo workspace. And we have case studies in there so that you understand, okay, how is it then actually done? And what we now have here, and the question was around EA agents. So you find here a so-called EA assistant. So this is something which we have released a couple of weeks back. And here I have the possibility that I have here next to my, let's say, workspace environment, I have now on the right-hand side here my EA assistant. And that EA assistant is aware of the information I have in my workspace. So I could now go over here. You see, we talked about the inventory. These are the 12 fact sheet types. You see with the number how many are in there, like 66 applications, and then we have over 200 business capabilities. I think there was also the question around the reports. So we have quite a lot of reports which we can use here out of the box. Yeah, there could be technology radar, like we've seen. There could be landscape reports. There are also TCO application rationalization. So depending on what kind of use case you have, we provide pre-built reports, but you can also develop your own ones here. But now coming back to the EA assistant, so that actually lives here in the workspace. It has also access to our SAP help. And what is also interesting is you can also link the EA assistant with your own documentation. So I have here the possibility to upload documents, from your project which you're currently working on. But for example, you could also connect it to conference pages. In the future, we will also offer other sources like SharePoint, which means you are expanding the context of the EA assistant. That means you can, for example, let us just take here one example here. What does LeanIX recommend for application rationalization? Yeah, this was one use case we had before, but now you can even ask the agent. I haven't tested that before. Let's see what is coming out there. But it actually helps you in your daily work. It can surface specific insights, which you normally would then look for in a report. You see it's now loading different skills, and then it's starting here what to do here. Yeah, so you get here some recommendations, architecture decision records, and so on and so forth. So this is something where the agent helps, and it could even go deeper. So we can maybe ask which application should I first eliminate? Let's see. So it would then look into the workspace and then also look into the, let's say, specific classification of the time classification like we've seen before. Now it's looking for this. See, it is searching in the workspace, also looking for end-of-life technology risk. Eliminate in the time model. We have also, while this is running, I was talking about this architecture guidance. This is another AI assisted feature. This is actually scanning your workspace overnight and also augmenting with information coming from benchmarks of the industry. So meaning even if you have not maintained your time classification, we have here some logic which uses let's say, anonymized data from other workspaces in order to come up with some recommendations. Yeah. So here there were now 16 applications classified already, was seen here, and also with this fit. And now I could narrow down deeper and then show, okay, which one is the right candidate. Yeah. So here you see the agent is aware of what is in the inventory, and within a conversation, you can then come up with some specific follow-on actions. Yeah. I think there was one more question. Maybe you can, you see here that the recommendation was this data sync utility. I can also open up the fact sheet. So it would also then, so that was the recommendation to start with this one. I can ask to open up the fact sheet and should now open that in the inventory. Yeah. Are there any further questions? Sorry.
Not in the chat, Rene, but or maybe we can just see there is one come. Rajiv is asking, this is subscription based for usage once in a year? I'm assuming that's a question. This is a subscription based usage. Subscription based for usage once in a year.
So, I mean, first of all, if we look at from a LeanIX perspective, this is based on the number. The license model works on the number of applications. Yeah. So, the more applications you have in the inventory, the price will increase. It's not based on number of users, and this is one of the success criteria of LeanIX, because everyone in the organization should be able to retrieve and see, or even let's say contribute to the information you see in LeanIX. If the question is more around the EA assistant, then it would be based on the consumption of the AI units. So similar to other general assistant in SAP, it will consume AI units, and then it very much depends on how active you are. Yeah, so that's the model for the EA assistant.
Right. Thank you. No more questions on the chat, but in case anybody else wants to ask, please share your views, questions, feedback.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Rene, for this wonderful presentation. This is Ganesh from Make Money. Yeah, I wanted to understand whether the solution requires some expert partners to implement, or the implementation is done by the OEM itself. I mean, the configuration and all.
So first of all, this is a pure software as a service application. So it will be deployed in one of our data centers close to your organization, and then I would say it's pretty straightforward. So I mean, we have also explained it in the book itself, how you go about it, what you need to configure, and then it very much depends on the use case you're looking into. So you can start very small, but normally what we see, we have also then onboarding trainings. Yeah, once you subscribe to LeanIX, so this helps you in a couple of weeks that you can already see some first results. Yeah, so where you bring your first data set in terms of applications you have. It can be through automation. It could also be through an upload of an Excel. So that's pretty straightforward that you get first results. And then you can work upon it, for example, by classifying this time dimension or by other classifications which we have, that you can then generate the first reports, yeah, which I've shown here. I can quickly show here one. For example, here we have now a business capability model. Again, business capabilities, you could leverage this through reference content to speed up the work that you have not to think about how do I structure now. You can just get it through our reference catalog. It's very straightforward. You see here, explore business capabilities. This is again solution agnostic. It does not involve any SAP, non-SAP solutions, but you can easily then say, okay, I'm in a specific industry. I don't know, let's take high tech. And then I select here the different capabilities which I'm interested in. I bring it into my inventory, and then I have already a starting point with the capabilities. And then I start to bring in here my applications. In this example, you even see now TCO numbers. Yeah, that's something you could then maybe consider in the next iteration, where you can then also then bring in here total cost of ownership. You see also here this time classification. So that's I think the learning curve is not steep. Yeah, you get with not a lot of effort, you already get some good insights, and which then also helps you to start to interact with your stakeholders to raise then also the awareness and interest.
Okay. So how much time it takes to tune the system and measure all these parameters like invest tolerance and all this, migrate and eliminate?
So let's say the system itself comes with the meta model. It's pre-built. It's ready to be used. Yeah. So you have not to tweak anything in the meta model. You can just go straight there, and then it's more about which use case are you looking in. Yeah. You see here the application portfolio management, where you first do maybe the portfolio assessment, understand first, okay, how does our landscape look like? And then next the application rationalization. So it's more about to bring data in, yeah. But normally you have your Excel or somewhere a source of information. For example, if you're using ServiceNow, we could integrate that and then ingest data from there, yeah, from a CMDB point of view. So wherever the source is, we can relatively fast bring the first data in there. And then, of course, the assessment of the time dimension here, this time classification. This then very much depends on kind of what technology is it running, and also what is the functional fit. So here what we normally do is we send out then a survey to functional stakeholders that they say, yeah, this is fit for purpose or not. And based on this stakeholder input, we bring then data from that perspective into LeanIX as well.
Okay. So it means what I understood here is we don't require any special partners to configure the system. And the second thing is it may take maybe a quarter or 6 months or to get the output of from our connected applications. Whether we require then to subscribe it for for 1 year or so. Suppose if it is required for one-time process only, then we will configure for 6 months and we will get the output and then we will stop paying for this.
I think one of the things that all of us need to understand is that as things progress and as businesses evolve, you will find that technology consumption also evolves. Your business needs evolves. And having a tool like LeanIX over a period of time, you do this exercise maybe every 6 months or every year, and you will find that there are more opportunities available to kind of optimize. And so that's where I've seen people continue to use rather than use it as a one-time investment.
Yes, yeah, that's right. So, I mean, you do once the baseline assessment to understand where you can rationalize, optimize. At the same time, you would then also plan out how would the future look like, and you want then to track if it's going into the right direction or not. And then, of course, you have also this more unforeseen situations, yeah, where there coming up some technology risk which you would like to understand. Is there an impact on your landscape or not? And then normally what we see quite often is you maybe start in one part of the organization. I mean, here you see now customer service as the first one. Yeah, you start not by boiling the ocean and try to cover the entire organization. You start normally with the ones who are maybe more the pioneers, ready for rationalization, for transformation. And then you show what you've done, and with that success, you convince other parts of the organization to do the same. Yeah, so it's kind of I mean, you should not boil the ocean of the entire organization. You would go, maybe line of business by line of business, or sometimes you might also take more a system view. Yeah, I know that from, if you want to replace a regional ECC system, then you have more this regional footprint, but then after one region, the next comes. So I'm not really seeing that as a kind of a pure one-off exercise. Once you bring that as a capability in the organization and the value is seen, the people want to have it then also for the next transformation and iteration. Yeah.
Renee, if I may intervene on that a little bit from the practical experience on working with CIOs. So Ganesh, to your question, we have seen LeanIX being used in the meetings, like business review meetings as well, wherein, customers go down into the application fact sheets and want to see what is the future roadmap for it. So it is a very helpful tool to build that roadmap for your organization. And if you want that roadmap, you'll have to continuously go in the tool and update the fact sheets, right, for where your applications are going and what cloud products you're buying. So that is one use case that we as enterprise architects work with the CIO on a continuous basis.
Yeah, it's a bit like your digital twin, yeah, like from other, from manufacturing or something. It's like a digital twin of the entire landscape that you also understand. Okay, if I change something here, what's the impact on other parts? How would the future look like? So you have always this kind of reference. Yeah.
Right, and if you don't have AI units, then I'm sure most of you are working with your enterprise architects, right? We are a huge group in India, especially. So reach out to your enterprise architect. They directly are maintaining the LeanIX for you. So if you need future enablement sessions, or if you don't know how to populate it or anything, just reach out to us. And like I am working with my CIOs, similarly, all the group is working with their respective IT teams and CIOs to do this for you. So don't hesitate on reaching out to them.
Sure.
I think there's a question.
Yeah, thank you, Miro. Thank you, Renee.
Yeah, there's one question in the chat. Earlier, Archimate via Signavio was also available for EA-related work. Question is that still working? And how does our current work inside the Archimate will get available in LeanIX?
Yes, so We have in LeanIX, you can also use the Archimate, how can I say, language. Yeah? So there are reference templates in there that you can then also use the specific, the symbols and the color coding. So that's possible. That's in there as well.
Okay. But when I think the question was more probably, is there a migration path of the Archimate, which was earlier in the Signavio to LeanIX? I think that's what probably Kushagra is asking.
Okay. Yeah, migration part, I'm not aware of that we offer this.
Okay, all right. Thank you. Any other questions or anything, any feedback team wants to give?
I think I would like to just add one simple thing is that while the short-term thinking might be to use it once and kind of optimize and be done with it, the true power of the tool comes in when you are using it on a regular basis, updating the database, updating your key capabilities, ensuring that your organization is able to kind of share what is relevant, what is not, and on an ongoing basis leverage this power to kind of the tool to continuously optimize and avoid long-term technical debt. I think that's the biggest benefit of using this on a long-term basis, as far as I understood. So just wanted to add that bit.
Thank you.
I hope I'm right, Rene.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, technical debt, it's planning. I mean, depends a little bit on the use case, but technical debt is certainly something we have to be caring about. Yeah.
Okay, so looks like we don't have any further questions. So I wanted to thank Rene and Meenal for taking time and sharing this with us. And thank you so much, Poonam and Ebony, for planning this entire series and inviting the speakers and finalizing the topic and all of that. And thank you so much for everyone who attended and asked questions. I hope this session was useful, helpful. If there is a particular topic that you want us to cover, please do reply to the invite that you get or send us a message. You know me, you can send a message to me as well or an email to me as well. And we'll try and bring those topics for you as well going forward. So with that, thank you so much, Rene. Thank you so much, Meenal. Thank you so much, Ebony and Poonam and everyone else for joining the call.
Thank you, Mukesh.
Thank you,
everyone.
See you again.
Thanks, everyone.
We'll see you again next month, same time, same day. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.